In this video, I'm going to show you how to get a six-pack. I'm Ben Heron, I'm the owner of the Level Up Coaching Academy. I've helped over 1,300 men from 26 different countries get a six-pack. Now, in this video as well, at the end of the video, I'm actually going to show you how you can work out your exact calories, and I'm going to walk you through all the strategies that will allow for you to actually find a system and a plan that works for you. So first off, what we need to get a six-pack is we need to know where's our goal? What weight do we need to be so that we can ensure, right, that's the weight that we're working towards to get the six-pack. So first off is work out your weight that you would be. Now, this might be easy if, say for example, you're 35 years old and when you were 22, you used to have a six-pack at X weight. That can be a simple way. From doing this so many times for the last 11 years, my party trick is that I can go into a party and I can know exactly what weight everyone is. I can guess it pretty much to the exact decimal. Now, what we want to think about is, say for example, you are 100 kilos, but your lean sort of six-pack weight is 80 kilos. We've got to know that to begin with, okay? Because that helps us know what calories that we should be eating. That helps us know if we're on track. That helps us know if we're not on track, etc. And then we can set some metrics in place, okay? So you want to get that weight in mind, okay? Now the second thing from there is you want to ask yourself, right, how fast do I want to take this, okay? So you want to work out your sort of rate of loss, okay? So let's say you're 100 kilos currently right now and your six-pack weight is 80 kilos, okay? And you are okay with, you know, slightly pushing this a bit harder. Some individuals will take a little bit slower, etc. But you're like, right, I want to get this done. I want to get in, I want to get out. That's why I would recommend it. I'd recommend like a bit like robbing a bank. You want to get in as fast as you can. You want to be safe. You don't want to injure yourself. You don't want to have any risk, and then you want to get out. That's the way you want to do it with your fat loss phase. The one reason as well is when you're moving forward pretty fast, you have momentum. You have, there's more drive, okay? The other thing too, from a health perspective, like if you're in a deficit for long periods of time, you can notice effects on your libido. You can notice effects on your energy. You can notice effects on just your overall health. So we want to make sure that we are moving fast. We obviously don't want to be too fast. When you're too fast, again, you can do the exact same. You can affect your testosterone, you can affect your energy, you can affect your strength, you can lose muscle mass. So it's hitting that sweet spot. Now that sweet spot roughly is, I would recommend for the first 4 weeks, 1%. So for the first 4 weeks, 1% of your body weight lost. So if you're 100 kilos, that's 1 kilo. So roughly you could even say 1.5 for that first 4 weeks, because a lot of the start will be water weight, will be glycogen, will be inflammation, but 1% would sort of be a good rate to hit. Then after that, if you're sort of taking fat loss at a moderate sort of pace, it would then probably, you'd want to be around sort of 0.5% weekly. So that would be half a kilo. Okay, and when you have this, it automatically makes everything a lot more effective, because then what you do on a weekly basis is you have progress checks, and this is what we do with all of our guys, is every single week we will look at their photos, we will look at their weight, and we will basically see, is everything moving forward effectively? Because when you're at 100 kilos, the diet that you have then and the diet at 80 kilos will be completely differently, because you've literally got 20% of your body weight off, okay? Your metabolism will be different. The first few kilos you'll find will actually be quite easy. Like you could, for example, like lose that first 4% in the first month pretty easily by just increasing your step count, or by just going, instead of 10 beers, you go to 6 beers, you know? Like that can be done quite easily. But as you go further in the fat loss phase, you will need to pull more tools. You'll need to be a bit tighter. You might need to weigh your foods. You might need to be a bit more strategic. So with these progress checks, it allows for us to basically analyze, are we plateauing? What's going well? What isn't going well? And especially like if you're watching this, you're probably very busy. So it's like, it also helps you sort of see, right, what can I do? Like if I was, say, for example, working like my client John's lost over, even Pete's lost 20 kilos. I put about him yesterday, and Pete's offshore and also traveling around the UK, and we've lost 20 kilos in half the year, so 24 weeks. And we've been able to do that because we've had those progress checks, because when there's been any moments where fat loss has started to slow down or started to stall, it hasn't hit our 0.5 or 1% mark, we've then tweaked it. We've then tweaked the protocol. We've tweaked his foods. We've tweaked the amount of foods that he's eating, the amount of calories he's eating. We've tweaked his training regime. We've given him, strategies of periods where like he'll push really hard, and then he's got his stag do, he's been on holidays, he's been trips away, he's going to America here, and we will, have periods where we pull back. Okay, and the way you want to see this is you want to see fat loss. We don't do fat loss on vibes. Okay, we do fat loss on metrics and deadlines. So like I've been saying about the 1%, you wanna have like data in place. If you're doing it just on vibes, when the going gets tough, you'll not do it. When something crops up, you'll not do what you need to do to get the results. So this is the difference between you sort of like just dabbling and maybe shifting off a few pounds, and really just having that absolute clarity. Because when we work with a client, we want to make sure that they're clear, exactly what they need to eat, what they need to do, how they need to train, how they need to sort of spend their time and structure their weeks. We want to make sure that they're certain. So automatically, when right, I'm 100 kilos and I'm getting to 80 kilos and it's in this timeline, you've got that certainty. There's no more guessing. There's no more, there's no more sort of chopping and changing. And you've got that confidence. Again, by having the progress checks, you can know, right, the last 6 weeks, I'm seeing my body come in. I'm seeing my waist come in. You get that confidence that you're on the right path. Because half of the time is, like, you've probably tried this before, but it hasn't quite got the full way where you've got the six pack. So by having that confidence throughout the process, you are much more willing to do the work, much more willing to put hard in the sessions, much more willing when, like say for example, you're out for a meal out, yes, 100% enjoy it, but you don't go full send and have the starters, the main course and the desserts. You only have the main course, or if you do, you calorie buffer for it. So we want to set things, we want to have metrics in place, and we want to set deadlines, and we want to have a daily target, weekly target, monthly target and quarterly target, and then obviously a timeline. Like if you've been overweight or you've been heavier than what you would like to be for more than 6 months, your strategy's off, your strategy's off. And see these progress checks and stuff and having the structure, it keeps you accountable, So the next thing, as I said, there would be metrics. And then from there, in sort of knowing your weight, you know what you need to do. What I would then do to sort of work out your calories to begin with is get your lean weight, right? And when you've got that lean weight, not your current weight, your lean weight, that's really, really important. I want you to get that in pounds. So say for example, it's 200 pounds, right? I want you to times it by 11 and then also times it by 14. So if you are 200 pounds times 11, that's 2,200 calories. 200 pounds times 14, that's 2,800 calories, I think. When you know those two numbers, that's going to be your deficit, okay? That's the range where your deficit will be. Now, if you are very active, if you have a lot of muscle mass, I would put you towards the higher amount of that. If you are, working a desk job, you don't do a lot of activity, your steps are very low, and when I say steps are low, like not just you think you hit 10K, you maybe even look at the weekly average. That's where you really find out. But say your activity is quite low, or you're wanting to push it very fast, I would go towards the lower end of that spectrum. And that would be your starting point. Then from there, from a training perspective, I would then look at a minimum 3 strength sessions per week. Okay, now these don't need to be long strength sessions, but you need to be training frequently. And I would, instead of having like a bro split, I would go towards the likes of a full body split or a multi-muscle split. And if you need, if you don't have any idea of sort of where to start with your training plan and things, if you go on to Instagram, it'll be on here. Or even if you comment, I'll follow you up. If you comment the word 30 or send me that on Instagram, I'll send you a free 30-day plan with a clear outline of how to train effectively, etc. For this. But as I said, I would then get 3 sessions per week as a minimum. You could go up to 5. I would look at your current step count and I would start to increase that so we can ensure that we're in a deficit. And then as you go throughout the process, if you're not hitting these metrics, I would look at, right, okay, what's my data saying? What calories have I done? What is my expenditure? And I would start to tweak it based on that. Now, the way you want to look at it too, you might every sort of like 6 to 10 weeks need to take a bit of a maintenance week. Now, usually life will you won't need to program this because life will just come into the way. You might have 3 weddings in 1 week, or you might have a work deadline and you end up overeating, or you might be on holiday. So it kind of happens naturally. But every sort of 6 to 10 weeks, you do want to have a form of maintenance so that we can keep your metabolism in a good place. Then when we come back after it, you'll notice that you'll drop weight at higher calories. The other thing too is when you're in a fat loss phase, and yes, I'm talking about moving more, you can still build muscle. You can still build muscle. You can still build strength. So you can. The issue is that people think, oh, I can't build muscle. Like when you're in a gaining phase and when you have more calories and you're in that surplus, yes, you are more effective at building muscle, but you can still build muscle, especially if you are getting back into training or you've been training less than 10 years, you will be able to build muscle even whilst you're getting your 6-pack, whilst you're in that deficit, you will 100% be able to build muscle. Now, caveat to that, you may, if you are really pushing it hard and you're say going towards that 1% or going towards that 2%, or you go too hard on the deficit like I talked about, you may have 1 or 2 days where your strength performance just isn't there. And it's important in that sort of period to not look at it from a quantitative perspective, and look at that session from a qualitative perspective, and also recognize, right, you are going to get stronger from the start of the program to the end of the program. But you might have 1 or 2 days here and there where your strength just isn't there. This is obviously we're putting in less calories, but also as well, as you lose like body fat, your body actually changes. Like say for example, you've got 20 kilos, that will be weight on the likes of, that will be like mass and size on the likes of on your bench press. The range of motion will actively change because you've no longer got moves, now you've got that away. So the actual amount that you move in that lift is more, okay, over that course. So it's important to sort of bear in mind. But, the biggest thing, you will gain strength, you will gain muscle if you think like that and you go into your sessions like that, okay? If you start thinking, oh, I'm gonna, lose muscle, lose strength, you're done, you're done. And like, you don't wanna, you don't want to shy away from doing big, heavy movements. Your big, heavy squats, deadlifts, leg presses, bench presses. There's a common sort of thought of, like, if I sweat more, I burn more. Bullshit. A lot of it's done from the food and the activity outside of the training. Okay, so to come back to the calorie point, you should have your calories by now. Like I said to you, you get in that range of 11 to 14 from your lean body weight. You also then want to get that number, your lean body weight number in pounds, and you want to hit 1 gram or roughly like 0.8 to 1.2 grams would be your ratio. So if you're 200 pounds, you want to have 180 to 220 grams of protein. And then carbs and fats, I would leave up to you based off that. But the thing that I would say is on your rest days when you're not strength training, I would go a little bit higher fats and lower carbs. That would be the only thing that I would say, and that'll help you so much. Okay, so you want to get your target weight, you want to then work out your rate of loss, so 1% for the first 4 weeks, and then you can sort of come down to sort of 0.5 every sort of 6 to 10 weeks. You want to take a break, a maintenance break, and usually life, you don't really need to plan that. Life will come into the way most likely. And then also as well, like, you can push faster if you wish. The other thing too is you want to have a deadline, so you can work out your deadline now, and you want to work out your deficit so that you can start off, and you may need to change it as you go along for your progress checks. You might need to go lower than the times 11 amount, and also as well, you want to, you know, like, prioritize your strength training, train a minimum of 3 times a week. Like I said, if you do not know where to even start and you want sort of it just taken out of it, if you message me on Instagram, the word 30 or number 30, I will send you over a free 30-day training and nutrition plan to help you out and get you started, okay? So like this video, subscribe, do all those good things, and yeah, time to get you your 6-pack.